Greetings YouTube and welcome to Last Week in Yu-Gi-Oh! Episode 2. Alright, so welcome again to Last Week in Yu-Gi-Oh! Basically a recap show starring myself, Blue Star 89, and sometimes other people. This time it's only going to be me as there was just no good opportunity to get an episode done with friends. As we had a football game here on the Sunday, and therefore the location we like to shoot at was just super busy, super loud, and it just wasn't getting done. So instead, it's just going to be myself, and that's going to make this video obviously a lot shorter because it's just going to be me. I won't be able to bounce off people. Hopefully this upcoming weekend I'll be able to actually get another full episode done with the other guys because it was it was really fun doing Last Week in Yu-Gi-Oh! Episode 1, but anyway, let's begin with episode 2. There's only a couple things to talk about. I'm going to save some topics for the next one, but basically what this is relevant things from the course of the last week in this game will be talked about. So it's just a recap show for anyone who's missed things and was like, hey, what's going on? Well, here you go. So that being said, let's get started. And I'm going to begin this episode with how I started the last one with Konami and ARG. In this case, it'll be with ARG, as they did two things last week following their Charlotte Circuit Series. There we go. I'm getting these things mixed up. At ARG Charlotte, Necros won, of course. No surprise. Following that, they made a revision to their list, which I'm actually fine with. I like the fact that they're actually willing to make adjustments to their ban list if they feel like it needs to be adjusted. I mean, yeah, they're going to still get flack, and rightfully so for some of the stuff they've been doing, but I do like the fact that they're willing to admit that they've made mistakes with their list, saying, oh, we hit Shadows too hard, well, we're going to put Construct up to 2, now it's at 3, and we will do this, and I like that. I'm hoping that Konami sees this and goes, we should actually adjust our lists too, instead of just every 3 months. If something really, really stupid is happening in the format, let's just immediately make a change right now. And I'm hoping they do that. Now, as far as the incident regarding one of the top 8 finalists getting disqualified because of the gentleman's agreement ban that apparently he didn't know about, I certainly didn't know about it, I'm sure you guys didn't know about it. It's, whatever, because the guy who got DQ'd was apparently really scummy to begin with, but long story short is ever since the Patrick Hoban incident with the Jin release of Rituals, ARG actually made it so that if you tried to do a gentleman's agreement, you and your opponent would get disqualified. I did not know about this, and I'm pretty sure you guys didn't know about this. I think they could have done a better job of making certain that this was a thing, because when the news broke out that gentlemen's agreements were were a DQ-worthy offense, a lot of people were just taken off guard by this. I really think they could have just done a better job on this. But I understand why they've made it offense like that, because basically what they're saying is it's a huge advantage to whoever wins game 1 in this sense. Just thinking about past formats where gentlemen's agreements were really, really big, i.e. Jin Necros formats and Ravine Ruler format, you'd win game 1 with your super busted win condition of a Jin or Return from a Different Dimension, and then you'd ask for it to be cited out games 2 and 3. Therefore, your opponent doesn't actually have the opportunity to play catch up in that sense, and you beat them game 2, and that's that. So I understand why they're doing it. It's just, I think they could have done a better job of advertising it. But that's it for ARG this week. After that, we have what Konami has been up to. And they've done a couple good things, actually. The first one is we finally know more about the complete set of high-speed riders, or rather, one big reprint, and that is Emergency Teleport is getting a super rare print in high-speed riders. And this is nothing but good for the game, as the card's kind of really expensive, and the card's kind of needed in several decks. We have Ritual Beasts, which play it. At least it should be playing it. We have Cosmos, which will be playing it for the time being, as the deck doesn't really have much else to work with. And then we have the upcoming Psy-Frames, which have potential to be okay. Their level 8 Synchro Monster is actually really, really good. And it's generic too, so you can't really ask for more than that. The rest of the theme I'm indifferent about, but that Level Synchro that banishes itself to knock a card out of the opponent's hand. That's good. Anyway, so we have 3 themes that will make use of E-Tele, plus all the older decks that's used it before. I mean, Grand Soil Psychics, okay, now you can build a deck cheaper. Now, while it won't have an immediate effect on E-Tele right now, as it's still a bit away, it will make the card a bit cheaper. Like, I think E-Tele's probably gone down a little bit since news of this reprint came up. I don't know what the price is currently, but it should like the ultra rares and secrets should eventually tank to about $10 within a month or two, and then the super rares should be very cheap, like $5 at most. It'll probably end up being a $2 card, so that's very good to know that this thing is getting another print, because God knows we need it. And speaking of things getting print, we have this also King of Games pack coming up. I don't actually know the full details of it. I just know it's like a Yugi theme thing, and I think it's 3 decks or something. It's a big set. It's a collector set, and most importantly, we're getting the Red Dark Magician in this set, which is something that fans have been wanting forever. Like Arcana's Dark Magician, that thing's kind of iconic. It's from Battle City. It's the story arc where the Dark Magician girl came out. And it just has that really sick looking artwork. He's just sitting there looking like all evil and shit. And we finally are getting this thing. So collectors are going to like this set. And once more details of the set are known, I might talk about it again. I think, though, it's going to be a decent buy. Hopefully it won't be absurdly expensive, though. Like, if it's $50, then I'm going to pass on that. It's just not worth it. I'll just order Dark Magician as a single. And then we have news of Top Cut being removed, or rather Top Cut drafts being removed from North American YCSs, and that's actually pretty big, as a lot of people were not happy with draft Top Cut to begin with. Others were like, it just means the good players will win, and for the most part this was true. There were a lot of complaints about how this was going to be done, and it did work out okay, but I think the reasons why they're removing this, though, are that Battle Pack 3 is not selling anymore. Or rather, the Battle Packs were not selling to begin with. And Top Cut Battle Pack drafts would make for terrible stream content. I believe a lot of the casual players who they're trying to appeal to for this will be like, what the hell is this? I don't feel like watching this. Let's go watch Hearthstone or Magic or this. And thus, Top Cut draft got cut. Now, there could be some other reasons why they're doing this. Apparently, even though this is going to get cut, they're going to do something else instead. And what that something else can be, I have no idea. Maybe team duels? It could be any number of things, given how Konami of America likes to work, but the fact that this is gone is going to influence deck building, though. Let's just get that one out of the way. In the past, you would build your deck in order to get you to the top cut of a YCS, and then you would just draft to win. Now, though, you have to build your deck in order to go from round 1 to finals, and this will affect your main and sideboard to a degree, like for Necros. In previous YCSs, you could actually get away with main decking things that would help you deal with your rogue matchups better, because you'd face a lot of rogue early, and then you would face Necros in top cut, but chances are, by the time you get to that top cut, you're going to be in draft, so you won't actually have to worry about the mirror match. Now, though, you actually do have to worry about facing the mirror match in top cut, and therefore you put yourself at a huge risk of running a lot of dead cards by main decking Triple Typhoon and such forth. So I think this will have an influence on how top cut decks are being built, and while draft, I feel, does have a place in this game, the way they went about it, I think, was not correct. Having like specialty side events in draft, or even just special YCSs every now and then, like San Diego, was it? The one where Pennington topped with Gishki FTK. Having that where it was draft day 1 and then your deck's day 2, that was fine. Every now and then, that's great, but the way they did it, I didn't quite agree with it. And then, moving on to just the final topic, is that on the spoiler side, we finally have the effect of King Calamity, Red Dragon Archfiend, or Hot Red Dragon Archfiend King Calamity. His name's like going to be redundantly translated. It's the jump promo. It's got the almost identical stats to Red Nova Dragon, as he's a level 12 Dark Dragon Tank Synchro Monster, 4,000, 3,500. I think Red Nova's defense is a bit weaker than that. Or is he 45? I don't remember, but He is basically Red Nova Dragon from the manga, except he's a hell of a lot better. So he requires 2 tuners plus a Dark Dragon type Synchro Monster, and his effect is when this card is Synchro summoned, you can activate this effect. Your opponent can activate cards or effects on the field for the rest of this turn. Your opponent cannot activate cards or effects in response to this effect's activation. If this monster destroys an opponent's monster by battle, inflict damage equal to your opponent equal to the destroyed monster's attack. If this card is in its owner's possession is destroyed either by your opponent, either by battle or by an effect, you can target a level 8 or lower Dark Dragon type Synchro Monster in your graveyard and special summon it. Whew, boy, that is a lot. So, this thing, okay, so he's generic in that he just requires 2 tuners and a Dark Dragon type Synchro Monster, of which we have a fair amount of them. Exploder Dragon Wing, Dark End Dragon, all of the level 8 Red Dragon Archfiends, Hot Red Dragon Archfiend Abyss, that's a 9. Hot Red Dragon Archfiend Belial, that's a 10. So there are numerous ways to bring this thing out. Dark End Dragon will probably be like the most generic, I guess, because it's also a generic. Well, then again, the Red Dragon Archfiends are all generic in that they need like a tuner and a non-tuner, whereas Dark End requires a tuner plus a Dark Dragon. But I think Dark End Dragon will see play in these type of decks just because of how good his effect is. Sending monsters to the graveyard, not killing them, that's pretty potent. But anywho, so he's got that. And then when he hits the board, he stuns your opponent's field for an entire turn. So traps, monster effects on board, they can't do jack all about it. So he'll be free to swing with his giant attack, kill something, deal burn, and bear in mind this says it just has to kill it. It doesn't say you have to destroy it and send it to the graveyard. So even if they have like macro in play or something, you'll still burn them. And that 4,000 attack, he's going to beat over things. And if your opponent somehow manages to out this thing, he replaces himself with a level 8 or lower Dark Dragon type Synchro Monster. Most likely it'll be Hot Red Dragon Archfiend, or it'll be Red Dragon Archfiend Scar Right, Dark End Dragon, and or Exploder Dragon Wing. Now, the deck that's going to make this easiest will probably be a dedicated Red Dragon Archfiend deck, pardon me, as you have Red Carpet. That thing's kind of actually really good. The deck can actually spit out synchros pretty efficiently. It just loses so much advantage in doing so, at least from the videos I've seen of it in action. It is a shame that it only brings back 8 or lowers, because bringing back Hot Red Dragon Archfiend Abyss would be amazing, as you could just bring that back, negate whatever, try and kill it, and then swing, inflict damage, get a tuner back. But as is, though, it's a pretty nice boss monster for the Red Dragon Archfiend deck. I don't know if I would run it. It seems like it's good, but it also is really difficult to bring out, but it's still it's still a much better Red Nova Dragon, which you can't really ask for more about. And that's really it for this episode of Last Week in Yu-Gi-Oh! Again, there wasn't going to be a whole lot for me to talk about this time around. Not as much big news, but next week's episode will have a bit more in it, as we'll be talking about Clash of Rebellion, and, well, what's in that set, and, of course, the rarity bumps in that set. Obviously, I'm going to be a little bit upset over one archetype's rarity bumps. Fuck you, Konami. But anyway, that's all for this episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it. This is Blue Star 9 jacking out, and stay tuned for the next episode. Later.